Audio storytelling is as old as it gets. It will always exist. It depends on someone to execute it well. Audio is actually meant for long form consumption. You don't consume audio for 30 seconds. While you are building a company or starting with a thesis, you need to take a step back from the execution and wonder that am I actually in the right direction?
Rohan, I am, feeling very proud sitting next to you and talking to you because you have built and you and your team have built Pocket FM. We have grown up in an India, at least I have grown up in an India where हम हमेशा सोचते हैं देखो Google आया, Microsoft आया, Spotify आया, YouTube आया, Instagram आया और हम list, we can go on and we say that these products that we use have come from the West, but you, Rohan, have built Pocket FM, which is not only doing very well in India, but you've taken this B2C product to the world. You've taken it to US market. आज 130 million users हैं. You've raised nearly $200 million. You started in 2018. Take us first and foremost that how did you think of this idea, and more importantly, जब दुनिया ऑडियो को नहीं देख रही थी, how did you think that this is going to work?
Thank you, Shradha, for inviting me here, having me here. मैं भी वीडियो ही बना रहा था. I was also building a short video app back in the day. This was like 2014, 2015, still early days for short video. I actually got obsessed about building content platforms because I realized that for the first time in the history, probably artists can get distribution without any gatekeeper, right? So they can get distribution because of how good their content is, or how users love their content. And so I was building a short video app, and then one of the startup got acquired by Paytm. And at Paytm, I was commuting from Gurgaon to Noida, which was a 3-hour commute in metro. At that time, I used to think that, क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं life में? It was a long commute. But then probably in hindsight, that's the best decision I made because I started consuming a lot of audio content, like ton of audio content every week, every day. And मुझे ये realize हुआ कि मैं बोर बहुत हो रहा हूँ because at the end of the day, audiobooks books हैं in audio, entertainment नहीं है, and podcast वही है, हम like two people talking on a topic, ये hopefully entertaining रहेगा काफी, definitely रहेगा.
And the onus is on you.
Thank you. And I think, but still, it's like hugely long conversations and gets pretty boring. And I was like, मैं बहुत बोर हो रहा हूँ. And then the way I used to look at video entertainment is there's a spectrum of entertainment. One is long form entertainment, which is Netflix, movies, TV series. Short form, which is TikTok, and then YouTube and Twitch. Audio has not seen a lot of innovation in formats. Although audio storytelling is as old as it gets. Audio storytelling is an entertainment form. It's been said forever, right? Audio storytelling had not moved yet to the digital, or if I would say that it was not there even in offline, frankly, even in radio, I would say. But I started thinking that why is there no audio entertainment platform, right? It's a very fundamental question that either users don't want it, or B, no one has executed it well. So we chose to believe in the latter, that there is a fundamental gap in the market that audio entertainment should exist. So we started in 2018. उसी से शुरू हुआ story की, and for me it was like personally, as I said, I wanted to bring a new art form to life. I thought that, and I'm just a huge believer that creators, there's so many artists all around us who want distribution, right? Who want to reach people without any gatekeeper. Users should tell you, right, if they like the content or not.
The category that you picked in Pocket FM, you're saying entertainment. Music है, बहुत सारे music apps हैं, different formats type के रहे हैं. How and what did you choose as the differentiation in Pocket FM?
So initially when we started, like it was a very broad vision that audio entertainment figure out करना है, but format नहीं पता था. So I knew, coming from a short video world, that when you launch a new category or a new content category, the key is the format of content.
Yes.
For short video, it was this, music, a 30-second video with music in background, right? That was the format. When you can lip sync or dance. And for Instagram, it was a square video, right? That was the format of content, effectively, right? So for us, we realized that for the first 2 years, let's not do anything else, but just keep iterating on and figure out the right format of content. पहले 2 साल, like people used to ask us about DAU, MAU. So like, abhi mat pucho. We need to find the right format and the right product market fit. It took us 2 years. We went through more than 10 pivots. And I think one thing we've always done is like we took quick calls and bold calls. Like, even if something is not working, don't like stick to it, right? Just immediately move on. And I think we one of the sort of hypothesis we had as a format was audio series, which is, think of it like a TV show in audio. We thought that audio is actually meant for long form consumption. You don't consume audio for 30 seconds, right? You would consume audio when you have a use case of 30 minutes or an hour. Right? We said that what if we can actually take TV show, a TV series, and reimagine that for audio. You have episodic fiction, like a serialized fiction category. You would have daily uploads instead of weekly uploads, because audio, you don't have that constraints of production times and cost. And you will have like voice acting, not voice narration. You will have music, you'll have sound effects. Sort of like an entertainment art piece. You close your eyes, you can visualize. And when we launched audio series, our engagement time went up from like 30 minutes to like 115 minutes per user per day. Like
wow.
Users are binging 2 hours. So we all know about binge watch, right? This was binge listening. Interestingly, we realized that binge listening is actually easier than binge watching because it doesn't tire your eyes. It's effortless, right? You can just put in your earphones or AirPods and just listen for a while, right? And secondly, what we realized was that most of our consumers were not audiobooks and podcast consumers. They were entertainment consumers who were consuming a lot of, let's say, video entertainment, but now they found a new category. Audio bhi consume kar sakte hain for entertainment. When we launched audio series, that was the pivotal point for us.
It's very interesting, but I'm also picking here that you had 10 pivots. Yeah. And this is so important to, and you're a young entrepreneur, but it's so very important for all the entrepreneurs and startups and everyone who's building to learn from this, is that मतलब पहली बार में ही चौका नहीं लगता है.
Definitely नहीं लगता.
And I want you to take us through the journey of कैसे thinking हुआ to just come to this, because to me this wouldn't come to mind, right? Like कि series को audio में सोचो.
I think initially, when we started, like we want to build an audio entertainment platform, there are a lot of directions you can go into. You can say, the format is comedy. You can say the format is like there are a lot of comedy podcasts out there that you can take into many different directions. And we started with we started iterating on top of podcasts first. We said that maybe we can make podcasts more entertaining, so let's go for comedy, for more genres. So wo kiya. And that didn't work out. It didn't have great attention, engagement. We realized that it works for some users, but not for mass users. I think fiction was one of the experiments we were doing. But in fiction also, we started with we said that, okay, can we make audiobooks more interesting, right? So that's how essentially the idea was to build on top of what's already out there. But none of these were really working. But there were two insights. One insight was audio is meant for longer form consumption. Short form audio, short audio, like how short video doesn't really work. Reels type 30-second audio. You won't consume 30 seconds audio and then do something else. It's not even a jingle. Yeah, it's not even a jingle, right? The short form audio, we said, let's discard that through experiments, right? Then we realized fiction is actually creating much higher engagement, right? And now we thought that how do we create a habit of listening to fiction content? We said, okay, why not make it episodic, right? Like if users will keep coming back for the next episode of a show. Then we said, this is in TV series, right? I mean, essentially what you're talking about is TV show and audio. So I think, I'm oversimplifying it, but the idea was that when you're doing when you have a strong hypothesis for a particular thesis, you tend to believe I keep iterating and make it work.
Wow.
That's the problem, right? And that sometimes work, but we realize that while you are building a company or starting with a thesis, you need to take a step back from the execution and wonder that am I actually in the right direction? Because अगर direction गलत है, अब कितने भी experiments कर लो, iteration कर लो, it won't work. So what we used to do as a culture, that every month, like I should do it every week, I used to take a step back that चल तो नहीं रहा, डायरेक्शन नए इस अगर मैं नया एक्सपेरिमेंट को चल जाएगा क्या, बिकॉज वॉट वी आर जनरली लुकिंग फॉर व्हेन वी स्टार्ट अ न्यू कंपनी इज नॉट इंक्रीमेंटल इंप्रूवमेंट्स, वी लुकिंग फॉर लाइक 2-3x improvements. And 2-3x improvements don't happen if you don't change anything fundamental in your product, right? And we used to take pretty bold calls pretty quickly. Like, so if something doesn't work out, we used to go to the next board meeting, we are stopping this. I think that those are some hard calls, because you've spent 1 year building something and then you're saying, I'm going to keep it aside.
But there's so much to pick from you, Rohan, because somewhere you're saying that, and again I'm picking तुम्हारे Noida or Gurgaon journey से, is the core essential basic thing of just observing and picking from there, and also having a strong sense of your own conviction. And not getting swayed by anything else, because it would have been a hard 1 year while you were experimenting on this.
We had I think this was like I would say a near death moment for us before even our story started. So we had a 3 months runway and kuch chal nahi raha tha. There was no traction. Audio series was not figured out then. And we were trying to raise our Series A. We reached out to we met 30 investors or so. Everyone said, audio kaun sunega? The biggest question I used to get from everyone, and everyone was like, audio kaun sunta hai? And it was like, see, audio storytelling is a fundamental art form. It will always exist. It depends on how...
This was your deep conviction, and based on...
Audio storytelling is as old as it gets. It will always exist. It depends on someone to execute it well, right? The supply was the problem. It was never the demand that was the issue. So this is, I remember, the 3 months runway. The experiment that we were launching back then was audio series. I mean, you can call it luck or whatever, coincidence, luck, that 3 months बचे हैं, कोई traction नहीं है. The team is launching audio series as an experiment.
3 महीने में पैसा खत्म हो जाएगा.
3 महीने में खत्म, and you have to पैसा खत्म, you have shut down, right? And हमने बोला ठीक है, अब प्रॉब्लम को बिल्कुल ही ट्रैक्शन नहीं है, एंड ऑडियो एनीवेज थोड़ा बायस रहता है लोगों को कि कौन सुनेगा. बट फॉर्चुनेटली व्हाट हैपेंस इज this audio series experiment works out. Our engagement time shorts up.
It's such a filmy...
It's a filmy thing. I mean, I would say I've been very fortunate. It's a coincidence, right? Had this been 6 महीने बाद होता, so it would have been very different. And we chal gaya, engagement time shoots up, and then we close the Series A. And the money...
Who wrote the Series A?
This was Lightspeed and Tencent back in 2019. And the money comes in. And we had 1 week of runway when the money came in.
Oh my God. I can think what it would mean.
Yeah, I mean, it was... So because and I think last month it became so frustrating. We were like, oh shit, we found it. We found the product. We found the category. Now, because the engagement time was so good, the retention shifted. But now we just need capital to grow. So I think it was super frustrating. But as I said, I mean, I think sometimes you feel you have been fortunate. And you have to appreciate that you have been fortunate.
How did you deal with that stress of those 2-3 months?
I think, of course, having co-founders help a lot, because you can, it's a good support mechanism. But I think, we were, I think our attitude was always, kuch na kuch figure out kar lenge. That's the attitude always, that कुछ ना कुछ हो जाएगा, don't worry, last day तक कुछ ना कुछ figure out हो जाएगा. It has always been naive optimism. I think naive optimism is usually helpful sometimes. That you're just naively optimistic कि कुछ ना कुछ तो कर ही लेंगे.
From those days to now today, you have, I think cumulatively around 130 million users, and you entered US market. You're doing very well over there. So tell us, how did you crack the US market?
One interesting advantage that comes when you're building something for India is that you can actually create growth playbooks at a fraction of the cost. Let's say if you were building it in US, because what we have always focused in Pocket FM is that how do you productize growth? So growth should not be some elusive, elusive things. So 3 of us come from product and tech background. So we thought, okay, so there is this is a growth equation, let's say, right? And how do you figure out levers of growth? So in India, when we started off, the idea was that you break down growth into its multiple components. Like you think from first principles. You say, these are the number of shows I need. These are the kind of blockbuster shows I need. These are the number of creatives that need to go out to get me that growth. This is a growth channel that will help me acquire users. So we built this, I would say, growth engine, which was very productized. And we were able to build that very efficiently in India, because the customer acquisition costs are much lower in India than any other sort of, let's say, US or Europe, right? So I think I think end of 2021, we were able to really peel the layers to say that these are the variables or levers that control growth. I can grow 10x also, but these are the levers I need to control. So, and this playbook that we created, which is super strong, which I'm very proud of that our team has done, and we now think about the entire business in terms of playbooks, which we can replicate into each and every geography. So we don't do something which is not replicable across geographies. So that's been the lens with which we have looked at it. So when we scaled in the US, we already knew the playbook. The idea was more about hiring the team. Of course, the shows were different, the content was different, that was built for American audiences, but the fundamentals were the same.
I'm just thinking that, and you helped me think this too, that I can't think of a B2C tech product from India in the West, and especially in US market at this scale.
I think we are the first consumer product to scale to US from India for sure. I mean, I think, that's why I get a lot of questions that, are you catering to Indian diaspora in the US? I'm like, why would I why is that the first question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an American entrepreneur, no one asks you, are you actually scaling globally? It's a given that, of course, you will expand to other markets. So if you're an Indian entrepreneur, you should not just think about India. Of course, if something is unique to India, you should build for India. But if what you have built can be scaled, can work in other geographies, that should be a default mindset. It should not be an afterthought.
Tell me the scale of the company. Give me a sense of the scale you're operating at today.
So, we ended 2023 with more than 150 million of annualized revenue run rate, or ARR. We have actually grown from 0 to 150 million ARR in just 2 years. Wow. Like, we started really monetizing beginning of 2022. We were at negligible revenue in 2022. And we have done that in 2 years, and out of that, more than 100 million ARR comes from the US. I mean, I think we're still very early. This category, we start starting to see this category shape up, and we're seeing the demand that audio series has globally. We want to be the Netflix of audio, if that makes sense. We want to be the largest audio series platform in the world.
Tell me, there's something interesting that I heard from your team was on the innovation that you're doing on pricing. Tell us about that, because there's typical subscription model, but you're doing something different there.
When we were thinking about monetization, I think the first instinct that we always have is, let's think from first principles and conduct a few experiments and see what works, right? Subscription was one of them, but there was an interesting idea around microtransactions. We said that, what if, this probably unique to our product, that we have audio series. One episode is 10 to 15 minutes, and then there is let's say a series having 100 episodes or more than that. It's a longer form audio series. What if we build a freemium content offering where we give users 2 episodes free every 24 hours? So think of it like this. You start listening to a show, you get 2 free episodes. You again come tomorrow, you'll again get 2 free episodes, right? But then if you want to consume more, you pay per episode individually, right? Like, you can buy in these individual episodes. What that did was, that dropped the barrier to entry, because now you can just pay $2 in US and 9 rupees in India, and just pay for a few episodes and consume and sort of sample the content. And you only pay for what you consume. You don't pay for what you don't consume. So this was an inflection point for us, because this sort of monetization gamified the content offering a bit, and it increased, in fact, it doubled our paying user conversion and our ARPUs, because users felt that, I'm only paying for what I consume, and there's so much flexibility.
You're expanding in US, and again, I want to ask you, are you looking at any sort of organic, inorganic? What are the growth plans?
I think we're actually in the business of finding unique and unheard stories from all around the world, and making it available to our listeners. So in a way, what we're always in the hunt for is great stories from anywhere in the world. And effectively, the byproduct of what we are building in Pocket FM is going to be an IP business. Some shows, like on the platform, some audio series on the platform, like Saving Nora, has crossed $18 million in revenue and 500 million plays.
Really?
And another show called Insta Millionaire has crossed $15 million and 1 billion plays. Now, some of these shows have amassed a lot of following, And these are numbers you typically associate with, movies or video content, right? And we're already there, even at this very early stage of this category.
Yeah.
And we believe these shows are going to become big IPs. If a show, let's say, could potentially make $50 million or $100 million in audio, and we own the IP, a lot of interesting opportunities open up for us. How can we monetize this IP further? How can we expand, adapt this IP to other formats? So we are always, in terms of, inorganic, we are always on the lookout for acquiring great IPs. But the long-term vision is to build an entertainment business starting from audio. So we start from audio, build a lot of great IPs, and then you start expanding to other categories, other formats.
You will partner in the other categories, or you'll build in the other categories?
I think it'll depend. So we recently launched Pocket Novel, which is a reading platform as well. So we'll launch certain formats, but for other formats we'll partner with let's say, video streaming platforms.
So the big vision I see here is to be catering to the entertainment.
Yes.
Need.
Yes, we started from audio, but then that's not where it ends.
Yeah.
But I think the second inorganic opportunity that we're also exploring is, in addition to IP acquisition, would be more in generative AI, because we feel that generative AI will unlock such such productivity and efficiency for our creators that we're already seeing, that we need to be at the forefront of what's happening here.
That brings me to the question that, you said that very early on, the thinking in your mind in 2014-15 was that how do you democratize access and opportunities for creators? Tell me, how are you doing that in Pocket FM?
The key creator here for an audio series is the writer, right? Because it all depends on the story. So our fundamental belief is if the story is not good, no matter how good the voice is, it won't work out, right? That's different for video. We're creating a platform for writers to share their stories with our listeners, right? So democratic platform, anyone can write a story effectively. Anyone write a story and then get that adapted into an audio or an audio series. So today we have more than 250,000 writers in our community.
250,000 writers?
250,000 writers in our community across US and India. And on an average, some of our writers, our top writers, are making over $2,500 to $3,000 a month. Every writer wants their show audio series to reach out to a lot of users, but at the end of the day, we want them to make a living out of their art and not do it, part-time. I would say that we want these, like how YouTubers and YouTube has become a huge platform for creators to create high-quality video content. We want that. We want writers to think like that. If you have a great story, put it on Pocket FM. If it's great, users love it, it'll become big.
Are you also creating a writers network sort of a thing where some of them are part of your team?
We do have like a program where writers, successful writers, become part of our onboarding and training programs, where writing is an art form which and as audio series is a new art form, you need to educate writers about how to write for audio. Right, which is different. When you write a book, it's very descriptive. But when in audio, you need to have more dialogues, and it has to be more engaging, right? So I think subtle differences in how you write for a novel or an audio series.
Tell me, are you looking at expanding to more markets? You are in US, you are in India. Where else?
We want to expand to Europe and Latin America this year, primarily UK, Germany, and Brazil to start off with. The first half of this year, we'll launch these markets. I believe that we have a playbook now, which we can replicate across many geographies. So, of course, I'm also learning how to build teams across sort of different geographies. It's not that trivial, but it's exciting.
You're a young entrepreneur. You started in 2018, and 3 years of that has been pandemic. Magar, ये जो fast growth है, it also requires a lot of organization building, culture building, different markets. How are you doing this?
I mean, I'm still learning. So I think it's more about the fact that we believe at this point. So the first 3-4 years was all about innovation. Just move fast. Just keep iterating, keep experimenting. Now, all of a sudden, now that we have to, architect the company, that's a completely different game altogether. So, to make sure that the ethos and culture that we had in the beginning, one thing that has instilled in our early team is now sort of percolates to the entire organization, not just in India, but across different geographies. So that's a very hard problem. So a lot of my time goes in hiring and making sure that, the culture that you're building across the org is what we want to build and doesn't go, and because when you're scaling fast, it's very hard sometimes to make sure that happens.
What do you have to say on the capital front, and how are you in the company looking at it, and overall the market as you went to raise money?
I think market is, it's pretty hard to raise money right now. The conversations are taking much longer. The diligence process is taking a lot longer. So I think it's of course quite hard, but the focus I think has shifted towards sustainable growth and profitability. Fortunately, we've had a lot of investor interest just because of the fact that we've scaled very fast, but have done that pretty efficiently. We've been very capital efficient.
But the numbers are speaking for itself, and but congratulations, because I actually this is not a celebration of the funding, but it's also that a check of this size also builds a lot more confidence for a lot more startups who would be in the market to get this kind of money. Rohan, I want to understand from you on the India and US consumer behavior when it comes to your platform. Give us an understanding of that, please.
The biggest difference is, of course, the content for these two markets are very different in terms of the content that we have in India for the, let's say, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and for the US is a bit different. But I think surprisingly, actually we have seen very similar engagement trends, very similar engagement profiles. So I mean, except the content, the product has remained exactly the same. That also goes to show that, again, if you have built a good product, it will scale across different user demographics. But there are some subtle differences when it comes to audio use cases. For instance, the US has longer commute times. So you see a lot of consumption during commute, whereas in India, a lot of consumption happens during leisure hours. But across both the geographies, the consumption is 24/7. Very interestingly, I think we've broken the stereotype that audio is only consumed during commute and household chores and exercise and gym. Users are consuming us throughout the day.
So what's the vision? I see an entertainment platform, global platform being built, but when you go back to your drawing board, what's the thinking now in terms of Pocket FM ko ye hona hai?
I think we need to just get ahead. I mean, the longer term play again is to build a large scale entertainment platform, starting a Pocket FM, launching Pocket Novels, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves as well. We want to make sure that we execute and scale Pocket FM to more geographies, go deeper into the geography we're already in, and keep that growth momentum that we've had, right? Growth momentum is extremely important for any business. We want to keep that alive. And while we're doing that, we of course will expand to multiple formats, and we want to build a new age entertainment platform which uses technology to deliver high quality content. That's, I think, a key differentiation how we approach content versus in a lot of other folks, which is our from content commissioning to our growth is all a tech-led engine. It is not that there's someone deciding that I like this content and this should go out. I think we want to build that build that new way of building a content business.
I always look at an entrepreneur and I think that building any business is very hard, very, very tough, very, very painful. It's pain and suffering, and in between we do interviews like these. So the question I would like to ask you is that, what is any habit or anything that you've developed over the years in yourself which makes you effective in the work that you do, and one habit that you would still like to work?
I think the one habit that I've built which has helped me work in the right direction, focus the company in the right direction, is just challenging all assumptions, which is usually very hard. So every week or let's say now I've made it like every once in 2 weeks, you challenge all the assumptions. You write down all the assumptions you've had with respect to what you're going to do, and you challenge them. Because sometimes when you build these assumptions, you subconsciously, you don't want to challenge them. It's not comfortable. Challenging those assumptions is something and being comfortable doing that. I think that is one. What I need to work upon is, I think I would say, how do you architect the right, how do you architect the company, the org structure? That's something still I'm learning and working on, but I need to get much better at it. Yeah.
Yeah, Rohan, what a pleasure it has been, and I'm so proud. And again, I'm saying all of us are very proud of the journey that you've made, where you've got. क्योंकि Pocket FM झंडा गाड़ रहा है हर जगह, तो हमारे देश का, as a startup, as a young entrepreneur, as a team, all of you are also bringing a new story for us. So all the very best, and may you continue to grow.
Thank you, Shradha. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.